Hello and welcome to the DC United Kingdom podcast. We are live again on YouTube, and over on that side, and I got it right first time, get in there, is Griffin Yao, who we're going to get to know a little bit more about. So firstly, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So as we just spoke briefly beforehand, it's a bit mental with the weather out there today.
Yes, this morning was This morning was complete heavy downpour. Actually, you can see behind me. It's pretty nice right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty sunny, but this morning, oh my goodness, I could not step outside. Thunder, lightning. It was tons of rain. I'm surprised we got it in, but
Yeah.
like I said, good session.
It's been like that over here as well. We've had thunderstorms. It's just been
Really?
crazy. So I'm glad that we've had the thunderstorms because the temperature has dropped massively.
It's
So I can
been
actually
hot
go
there before?
Yeah, so we've been having, it would have been around 35, 36 degrees Celsius. I think it's about 94
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
yeah.
It's been a bit sweaty. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a super hot summer here, definitely.
Yeah. Right. So, as you know, you're here for us as fans to get to know you. For the fans out there, if you're watching and live, if you've got any questions, hit them up in the chat. Don't forget to subscribe as well. That will be absolutely awesome. But if you've got any questions for Griffin, hit them up. We'll get them asked on the show today. So, like I did last week with Julian, my first question for you is, when were you born?
I was born September 25th, 2002.
You're this millennium.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, I said it before to Kevin when he was on the show a couple of shows ago. I feel so old.
Yeah. Kevin's in 03, so he's even
He's even younger than you, and that's definitely feel old. So, how long? I know you're very young, but how long have you been a professional soccer player for now?
a professional soccer player. It's probably approaching, I would say it's approaching 2 years. I'd say maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe a year and a half, if not a little bit less. I would say, I think I signed around December of maybe 2018 it was.
Yeah.
It sounds about right.
It does sound about right.
Yeah.
And your first team that you played for was Loudoun United, wasn't it? You didn't. Is that right? Or am I getting that wrong? And you played in a friendly for DC?
Yes. No, you're getting that right for sure. I played the first game. The first game I played professionally was, Memphis 901 with Loudoun.
Yeah, and that was a bit of a good game for you, if I remember.
Yes, it was a great game. I was able to make my first professional goal that game as well. So,
not a bad way to make your debut, right?
Definitely.
Can you remember how that goal went?
I cannot. Oh, I do recall. It was Kyle Murphy, who's now playing for Tampa Bay Rowdies. He used to be on Loudoun. He was playing number 9 at the time. Hit it to me out wide, and I just took a touch inside, and I was definitely aiming for the back post. Took a nice little deflection right over the keeper and just sailed in.
Nice. You can't argue with either way.
Exactly. A goal is a goal.
Back of the net. So your first pro contract was a DC United homegrown contract, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So you're young, but have you always dreamt of playing for DC United?
The honest truth, I didn't really, always have just a dream of just playing for DC United. I was just dreaming of being a professional soccer player, to be honest. And as I think I approached the goal a little bit more. So as I was coming up in the academy, DC United's academy, I think that kind of shifted my mentality a little bit, because that became more of, a practical dream in my eyes, more or less than, Barcelona or like Chelsea, one of the big clubs that I was dreaming about when I was a little kid.
That would be something else, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So in your short time at whether it's the DC United first team or through the academy, what has made the club special to you so far?
I think, what you just said right there, you can see how many, homegrowns we have, how many Bill Hamid, who is, a freaking star, in my opinion, is absolute world class, is, a homegrown. We've got, so many that have come through. You've got me, Moses, and Kevin right now, and, Chris Durkin, who just, he's doing super well. I've talked to him recently, and, it's all just super positive products coming from DC United. So it's just being able to bring, integrate the academy into the first team is just, not many teams can do that. I think DC does a really good job.
And I think it's good to see the fact that even if the players aren't making their way through the DC United team, that they're going abroad as well. So
exactly,
as you just mentioned, Chris Durkin, who's in Belgium at the moment.
Super, yeah.
And I think we've had Andy Nahar, who made his way over to Anderlecht. I know he's
correct
back over here with LAFC.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's had the opportunity to play Champions League football,
exactly, yeah.
That's what you've got to think about, isn't it?
For sure.
So, your squad number, it's 22, isn't it?
Correct.
Did you choose it?
I did.
Why did you choose number 22?
At the beginning, it was because 3 players, Pulisic, obviously on Dortmund was 22, Willian, I really liked on Chelsea, 22 at the time. He's gone off Chelsea now.
Yeah.
But he was number 10, but before that he was 22, obviously. And who is Isco on Real Madrid is I'm not sure, I don't think he still is, but he was 22. So those 3 were definitely, it was the best number.
Nice. So something that those players you aspire to get to that.
Yeah, definitely. I think each of them has, a quality that I really, really like. So I think that was part of it for sure.
So here's a question for you. Apart from those 3 players you've just mentioned, if you could play alongside any player from the past or the present, who would it be and why?
Ooh, I think it would definitely be from the past, because the present players, I still have a pretty good chance of, or not pretty good, but I still have a chance of, playing with them. So that's always got to be the goal. So I think it would be Ronaldinho, to be honest, just because, he's been a dream to watch since I was a little kid. So
the skills he does. And I actually watched a video of him earlier today. There was something, I think it was on Twitter, somebody tweeted out about Neymar's performance against Atlanta last night.
Okay.
And then they compared it to Ronaldinho against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. And some of the things that Ronaldinho was doing, the tricks.
Insane.
The touches, it's just...
stunning, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be amazing if we get more players like that.
Exactly, yeah.
He's one of a kind, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. One of a kind.
So, again, going with players from the past or present, if you had to pick a 6-a-side team, I don't know whether you actually guys over there play 6-a-side.
Yeah, we do. We do play 6-a-side. Yeah, honestly, we do in training. We do the big goals and we do the small goals. So
nice. So who would be in your team
then? I think. Are we counting 6-a-side? Are we counting a goalie?
Of course, yeah. I mean,
that's what I assumed.
Play, so of course we are.
That's what I assumed. I am going to, in goal, are we doing all time or at this moment?
Let's go all time.
Okay, I think even all time, I think I'd go with Oblak right now.
Yeah.
In goal, across the back, I would have... I think I'd play with two center backs like that.
Yeah.
And then I'd have 2 wingers and then just one holds like that. So I'd have the 2 center backs be, I think I would have to go with Puyol, and I'll go with Ramos just because I like that combo.
Yeah.
And then I'll go outside backs. I'll go Alphonso Davies. I like that guy. He's freaking he's too good right now. He's too good.
Speedy
And
as is
then
just insane.
exactly. And then on the left side, I'll go with Mbappe. Just outpace the wings.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
as the number 9, I'll go with Messi, just because you can't leave him out of the squad.
Yeah. I mean, you just give him the ball, he'll just dance around everyone and just pop it in the back of the net.
Exactly.
So, for you, what has been the greatest goal or greatest assist that you've actually been a part of so far in your, albeit short career so far?
I think it would be. I think it would probably be my goal against Brazil. My goal against Brazil when we were playing in England, when I was playing for the US U17s.
Yeah.
We were playing in Manchester against Brazil, and we were down. We were down 2-0,
Right.
and they had the guy that scored their goals is now playing. I don't know if you know him, Rainier Jesus. He plays
Yes.
for
Yeah.
Real. Yeah, he scored an insane goal. I remember, to put them up 2-0 right before half, and I was like, oof, like we need one before half.
Yeah.
And so a ball got played in to my chest, and I just took it down. There was a guy on my back. I quickly turned him and took a touch out of my feet, and
Yeah.
it was a pretty far way out, and I was just feeling a little bit ambitious, to be honest. And I just had a hit, and I kind of just misfooted the goalie. He thought I was going this way, and it might have, I don't know if it swerved or not, but it
Yeah.
just went right into the left upper corner, and it was perfect.
Nice. I'm gonna have
I'd
to
say that one.
have a look at that and see if I can find it. I'll share it out
I
over on
think
Twitter
it
and
is
Insta.
on YouTube. Yeah, I
Is
think
it
it's on YouTube somewhere.
nice? Because I remember Kevin was talking about his greatest goal that he scored, which was again in the US youth team
Yeah.
against Holland, against the
Okay.
Netherlands, and they were 3-1 down, and it was the 90th or the 91st minute, and the ball came
Oh,
off the
I remember
post
that.
through two nutmegs, and I was like,
Yeah.
I've got to see this. I've
I
got to see
remember
it.
that. I remember that. That game was insane. They ended up coming
Yeah,
back, right? I
yeah, it was
think they
three. It
did.
finished 3-all, and that was
Yeah,
just.
I remember that. I watched that game. That was insane.
And I think the actual full match is on YouTube. So if you
Yeah,
wanted to
it is.
see that,
Yeah, I don't know
that's
why
great.
they taped the I don't want to say O3s, the U15
Yeah,
national team games, but or no, I think it was U16 national team games. But for some reason, like the 17s, all of our games and like the Nike friendlies and that same complex, we just never got our games filmed.
that's really weird.
It was weird. Yeah, we played Portugal, we played Turkey, we played Brazil too. Just
Wow,
no
that's
film.
really
It
bizarre.
was, yeah.
You
It's not
think
out anywhere.
there you go.
Yeah,
So obviously that was your your best goal that you've been a part of. What has been the best
definitely.
overall game that you've been a part of then?
Ooh, the best game that I've been. Oh, definitely the Open Cup win against Philly.
Yeah. Oh,
When in the rain, Wayne had a pen. We came back right at the last minute. We were down 1-0.
yes.
Who scored? Oh, McCann scored the first goal off a header. I subbed in pretty late into the
Yes.
game, and we were down 1-0.
Didn't that
And
go to extra
McCann,
time?
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
McCann got a header, and then Wayne finished the pen, and it was just, ooh, it was too sweet.
Yeah. So, so I think I remember Chris Seitz playing in goal for that game as well.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think he
why I
did.
remember
I
that,
believe he
but
did. I believe he did.
so obviously you've talked about growing up and the teams and what you wanted to do. It's always been something you want to was being a pro soccer player.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my goal from, as long as I can remember has been, just to be a professional soccer player. I mean, I go back and look at some of like my work that I did in like kindergarten and
Yeah.
like the younger grades where it says, like super easy worksheets where it just says your name and then like what you want to be when you grow up. And
Yeah.
always for that answer, it says the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's all I can really remember, to be honest.
So, obviously, you're still a teenager. Yeah, my maths is right. You are still a teenager.
Yeah.
Um, have you found growing up that soccer's becoming bigger in the States? Because I know it's not the biggest sport over there.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's becoming much, much bigger in the States. I mean, I think that's your answer right there.
Yeah.
It used to be very, very small. Like I talked to my mom because she played at NC State, and she said back when she was playing, it was nothing. It was like
Mm,
it was not even a real sport back then. But then now she said it's grown into something that's like massive.
yeah. And what is there a particular reason you could put that down to? Is it the fact that you've got
I
the
think
MLS
it's
growing?
just, yeah, the MLS growing 100%. And I think just, more and more people having a love for the game. You know what I mean? More and more
Yeah,
people, watching it overseas, watching the Europeans play, and just more and more people having dreams and just spreads.
absolutely. So, outside of football, or soccer, I should say, sorry. I keep forgetting that I'm on an American thing. I've got to say soccer. Um, what hobbies do you have? What do you do in your spare time?
I like to play a lot of video games, to be honest. I like to play a lot of video games, mostly
And you,
FIFA. And I like to watch a ton of soccer. That
yeah,
takes up a lot of my time, whether that's, just videos on YouTube of, individual players or just full on games. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
reruns or live games, either one, just whatever's on.
fair. So, FIFA wise, Kevin thinks he's the best. Is he?
I can't argue. I can't. No one can argue. No one can argue on the team. And if they are, they're lying to you. He has beaten everyone on the team. I have no idea how he's so good.
Flipping neck. Now, I've
He's
challenged him to a game because back in the day, I used to be number 2 in the UK.
really,
So, yeah, I mean, it's gone back a few years. Let's put
yeah,
it that way. It was back
yeah.
in FIFA 2006, but I was number 2 in the UK at one point. So
That's pretty good.
I've 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 challenged him. I haven't got FIFA 20. I'm gonna wait for FIFA
I'm gonna
21.
have to see that. I'm gonna have to see that.
And then we'll have to stream it on Twitch, aren't we?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, do you keeping with the theme of non-soccer related stuff? Do you cook at all?
Uh, I I try to cook from time to time, to be
Yeah.
honest. And when I hang out with my girlfriend likes to cook a ton.
Okay.
So she usually makes me, cook with her, and so it just kind of escalates from there. So I've been doing a little bit of cooking in my free time, but mostly I do it with her.
Nice. And when you cook, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh, desserts for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
That's not an easy thing to do.
It's not, but it's definitely the most satisfying at the end, for sure.
Yeah. What kind of is there any particular type of dessert you cook? Or you one that you know you can
Mm.
nail every time?
Chocolate cake, honestly. It's just too simple, too easy. I get it right every time. It's perfect.
Nice. Do you add anything extra to it, or you go simplicity is the way
Chocolate
forward?
cake, a little bit of Oreo crumbles on top, and it's
Ooh,
perfect.
nice. I do
Perfect.
like the sound of that.
Yes.
So we're gonna move on to some kind of desert island stuff. So if you were
I'm
stranded on a
ready. I
desert
like
island,
that.
if you had one album that you could choose to listen to for the rest of time whilst you're on that desert island, what would it be?
Album.
Yeah. I know
Okay.
albums don't really happen these days because,
Yeah, no,
we're in the streaming
yeah.
service world now, but we're going to go with an album because, I'm old and I love
I would say, I'm not sure if you know this artist, to be honest.
Go on.
I would go with Pop Smoke, Meet the Woo 2.
What genre is that?
Hip hop, to be honest.
Okay.
Hip hop rap a little bit.
Fair. Fair.
If you asked Kevin that exact same question, I'm not sure if you did, but he would have answered almost the exact same. I
Fair.
guarantee it.
Because I know when I had him on, we talked about music, and I know he said, I think it was you, Kev, O'Neill Fisher has got a similar
Yes,
taste in music as well.
definitely,
And then there
definitely.
was, I can't remember who else it was. There was someone else he
Fish,
mentioned.
Chris O'Doy.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. Apparently, you guys all have the same taste in music.
exactly.
So, what's it like in that dressing room? Do you hang out in kind of the groups with the music playing before games, or does everyone listen to the
Well,
same thing?
on game days, everyone kind of listens to the same thing. But as of right now, we're in our kind of separate locker rooms because of the COVID style layout.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of be separated, and they separated us into, knowing who our like groups are a little bit, and who
Okay.
our rather like closer friends are. They separated us into there, and so we've just been able to listen to our own music. Honestly, have our own speaker in there.
Nice. So, how's that going to work on match days when obviously we've got some of the games coming back now? Are you still going to be in separate locker rooms? How's the team
I
talks going to work?
I cannot tell you. I would not know. Honestly, I have not heard.
That would
in
be weird.
in the in the MLS is back tournament, we all wore masks and we were all separated in the locker room. But I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be,
That's going
because
to be
that layout was a little bit different, because we didn't really
yeah,
have real locker rooms. It was everything was super quick, super just trying to get the games in, really.
yeah. And did you enjoy your time down in Florida?
Definitely. I mean, I think it was a learning experience from the team, and I think it was a learning experience from everyone, to be honest. But I think it was good to go down there and get some games and get some good practices in, and I
Yeah,
think I think we knocked off some rust, and I think we'll be good.
yeah. So obviously we've got the first game coming up in 8 days' time.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know everyone's super pumped about that.
yeah. Looking forward to heading over to Cincy and bringing three
Definitely,
points back.
definitely,
Nice.
definitely.
Right. Having moved away from desert islands, I know we've just kind of sidetracked a little bit there, but um, if you could only have one food on that desert island, what would that be?
Mm, pasta for sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Just because super healthy, and there's a lot of variations of it. You can do a lot with pasta.
Yeah, it's true. I know Julian was on the show last week, and he said fruit.
That's not a bad choice, to be honest.
No,
It's not a
I think
bad shout.
that was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Right, that's the end of the first kind of round of questions. Your next lot, a quick fire question. So I'm
I'm
going to give
ready.
you this or that, and I want you to choose fairly quickly. So your first one is Ronaldo or Messi.
Messi all day.
Yeah, beating the Red Bulls or winning MLS Cup.
Winning MLS Cup.
Soccer or football.
Football.
Yes, love it. Um,
Yes.
shutout or clean sheet.
Clean sheet.
You're going up in my but using the English terms, it's brilliant.
Really? Clean sheet is an English term?
That's why, yeah. When I watch,
Shutout seems to me like, I don't even know what shutout just doesn't even sound right.
whenever I watch sort of the American commentators, whenever the Bill Hamid keeps a clean sheet, they always call it a shutout.
Yeah, they do say a shutout, honestly. And when they put the score up there and like all the stats, they always say shutout. So
Yeah, I've never understood. It's a bit of a strange one, but then
yeah,
to be honest, clean sheet. When you look at it, it also sounds a bit
yeah,
strange as well.
yeah.
So, um, Dave Johnson or Devon McTavish.
Oh, both.
Oh, can't pick one out with them
I
two.
can't. I can't. I think if I would have to, I think Dave.
Yeah, sorry, Devon.
I'm sorry. I still love you.
They're both great. I can't wait to hear them come
I've
back.
missed it. Yes, I've missed them both so much.
Yeah, it just seems so weird
Without
without it.
fans as well, without them and without the fans, it seems very weird.
Yeah, just quickly on that. Obviously, you played against the Impact. What was it like without the fans there?
I mean, it's completely different. I mean, when you're warming up on the sideline, when you're like, checking in, it's just like, it's, you don't hear anything. You don't, it's, for me, it wasn't as much. I usually get, since last year when I was a little bit less experienced, I would get super nervous when I would hear, like big crowds, big fans. And so when I stepped up to check in that time, it was just kind of like, I didn't even think of anything because there was, no fans.
So did that mean your nerves were a little bit more settled then?
Yeah, definitely. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Because when you're watching the broadcasts, I don't know whether you watched them yourselves or caught the highlights. They had some of the crowd sounds there, and then they had the scoreboards, and it was, even though they weren't there in person, it was just,
Yeah.
it's just all a bit weird, all a bit strange.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to teammate questions now.
Perfect.
So this is where we reveal all.
Gotta be careful.
So first one, who has the worst taste in music?
The worst taste, I know who it is. I think it's one of the people. Oh, they always play music in the training room, like the people that do massages and like the people that tape us and stuff.
Okay.
And it's Goody is always playing. I'm not sure if you know who that is. Brian Goodstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's always playing music on the speaker, and it is shocking. So it's just a different generation for me, to be honest.
Can you name any of the artists that he plays?
Oh, no way. No way. And unrecognizable.
Amazing. So, again, this is a bit of a controversial one, I think, because, again, the answer from Kevin, so this will reveal whether he's right on this. Who is the biggest joker in the dressing room?
Oh, Fish.
Okay.
Fish. Joker, 100%.
Yeah? What kind of things does he get up to then?
I mean, he's not as much, to be honest, no one's really, pulling pranks or doing any of that. It's more just he is always the one that's like playing games or something, like shooting the soccer ball in like where the gear is supposed to go, like the gear hole. He's like playing basketball, always blasting music, always like super like high and energetic. And so that kind of just like rubs off on everyone a little bit.
That's cool. Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So, who has the worst fashion sense in the dressing room?
Chris Seitz.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because he always goes on. He's always trying to make fun of my outfits and Kevin's outfits sometimes, because we're a little bit it's just like I said earlier, different generations, and I always make fun of him because I always say, dad outfits. He's got the most dad outfits ever. It's just like gray shorts, socks, some slides, and then like a classy t-shirt and a baseball cap.
Nice. I'm not going to argue with that.
I mean, you can't argue with it, but it's a little bit.
Let me ask you, Eric Sorga, what's his fashion sense like then?
A little bit. He's cutting edge for sure. I mean, he goes a little bit extreme sometimes, but he's worn a couple of outfits that I enjoyed and that I've thought were cool.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. But he definitely gets the looks from a lot of people.
It's got to be the European sense.
100%. It's got to be.
So, going from worst fashion to worst dance move.
Worst dance move. Ooh. I think Moses for sure.
Really?
Yes. Moses for sure, because I think me, Kevin, and that kind of whole group is always dancing and like doing a little like, and we always just make fun of him because when he joins in, it's just super, super funny. So I'm gonna have to go with him for sure.
Fair. So going from the worst fashion and the worst dancing to who's the most serious in the dressing room?
The most serious, I think, when it comes game day, I think Bill is the most serious, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I say, hey, Bill, like right when I get there or right when he gets there. And then
Yeah.
after that, man, he's locked in. He's got his headphones
Yeah.
in. He's getting focused. Cause I mean, I guess that works for, you've got other personalities that like to, open up and be super free on game day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's working for him. So he should keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So last teammate question and last question for you. What's the most embarrassing thing to have happened in the locker room so far?
Ooh. That's a good question, honestly. Let me think about that because I'm not just gonna give you a fake answer. Let me.
I like that. I like the honesty there.
The most embarrassing. Yeah, I think it was last season when Lucho was on the team,
Yeah.
and he took it was Junior. It was definitely Junior. He took Junior's shoe, and we have these like in our lockers, in the locker room, in our like game day lockers, we
Yeah.
have basically like our own lock that has like a padlock and a little number that goes with it.
Okay. Oh.
Put Junior's shoes inside of it, and then locked it back up while Junior was in training. And
Oh.
so Junior, then it was his like nice shoes. And so everyone leaves, Junior goes and like he gets his shower and he goes to change. And he's like, oh, like where are my shoes? Like, and Lucho's gone at that point. And so like luckily I knew the code and I was like, all right, and I just did it real quick. It was
Amazing.
hilarious.
Amazing. So we've just had a few comments whilst we've been chatting away there. So to be honest, they're all kind of work colleagues of mine whilst they're watching. So Tim has come out and just said about your cooking desserts. Don't tell the coach. Don't tell Ben.
Yes,
You don't want to be
please.
eating too many desserts.
100%.
And then Stu he really wants to know what music is getting played in the training room. But
In the
obviously,
training room, yeah.
if you don't know the artist names from
Yeah.
it's
I
good.
mean, in the training room, it's shocking. I have no idea what the names are.
What kind of music is it then?
It's a lot of slow music, to be honest. It's a lot of like instruments. I mean, for me and for the group that you named, we like the type of music that's upbeat, like super
Yeah.
like fast and like energetic that you can like dance around to. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of the opposite of that.
That must be weird. And
Yeah.
then he's got one more question for you, which is which league in Europe would you most like to play in and why?
League. I think. Hmm. It's a super good question. Is that like my dream league or right now at this moment?
Oh, let's see if he comes up
I'll
with
answer.
one.
I'll answer both. I'll
Both.
answer
Yeah, let's go
both.
with both.
Yeah, I'll answer both. My dream league would probably be the Premier League, just because as a kid, I've grown up watching that. Everyone, kind of
Yeah.
dreams of playing in the Premier League, to be honest.
Yeah.
But right now, I think Bundesliga, to be honest. I think they do a really good job
Yeah.
developing their young guys, from what I can see at least. So I
Absolutely.
think there.
Yeah, I mean, especially Dortmund as well. They've got
Oh,
some
100%.
great youngsters. I mean, I think they've just signed Jude Bellingham as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that whole league, and they've got Kai Havertz too, who is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
isn't he's on his way to
On
Chelsea though? Rumor has it.
yes, I hope. I hope.
So here's a question for you. Just whilst we're talking about leagues and things, apart from DC, what other teams do you follow like religiously? Would you say?
I think right now PSG, just because they've got. I really, really love Neymar. I love to watch him play and love to watch Mbappe play. Those are two players that I really take a lot of their aspects, and I watch a lot of their highlights and a lot of their film, and I like to mimic a lot of the type of movements and what they do. So I think
Yeah.
PSG for sure, and then Chelsea definitely, just because I've been an all-time Chelsea fan since I was a little kid.
Fair. That's quite a few. I know. Generally, in the States, a lot of people will either follow Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs. Seems to be, and
Yeah,
Liverpool.
yeah, Liverpool's. I mean, definitely a big one now.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I don't speak to that many like Manchester United fans or Man City fans or
no, not
anyone
really,
like that.
not at all.
So another question has just come in whilst we're still going. Andy has just asked, and I think we've got the answer for one team anyway, which is Chelsea. Which teams do you like watching in the Premier League?
Yeah, I'd say Chelsea. Even though Arsenal doesn't sometimes get the best results, their brand of soccer is
Yeah.
amazing. I love to watch their build up and their press for sure. And also I like to watch Watford. Watford, I love the way what's his name? Sar.
Ismail Assar?
Yes, love him. Super,
That was
super, super
random.
good. Super
Watford?
good. I've been just because I watched him a little bit last season, and then I obviously watched him tear apart Liverpool when they won. So that was great to see. And
Yeah.
so since then, I've just been a low key fan of him.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That's a nice little bit of random information, that one.
exactly.
Well, I think we'll leave it at that. A nice little end to the interview
Perfect.
there. So, thank you for coming on. That
Thank
was
you for having me. It's been a
that was
pleasure.
it's been awesome. Just before we head off into the break, because there is a second half to this particular episode. It's nice to be able to do that. Um, the show sponsors, which is MLS UK Show, they just want us to show a little clip from this week's episode, and it's all about the shirt that Henry is wearing. So let's just have a quick look at that.
Do you know when you might get it where, I don't know, you're having your hair cut or you're in a taxi and you just don't want to talk, you can't be bothered, and then the person, the taxi driver or the barber or whoever you're talking to will go, have you got anything nice later? Are you doing anything? And you think, well, I could tell you, but then that would involve a conversation.
Yeah.
I was in that mood, really. So when he said, he went, oh, who's this? I thought, well, I could say that, well, I do an MLS podcast and they play in Orlando and I want Portland to win. So instead I thought, well, what's he going to hear the most? And I just said, oh, it's my mate and it's his stag do.
See?
So this guy in the middle of Manchester obviously don't know who this is. He don't watch MLS, but he thinks that this is my mate, and it's a bachelor party, isn't it, in America?
Yeah.
So he thinks that I'm going on Diego Valeri's bachelor party.
Who's married with kids, by the way.
Yeah, just because I didn't want to get into a conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show today. It, yeah, for I think since kind of around when Wayne Rooney got signed, right? I think that's when you kind of got in touch with the Screaming Eagles. You were chatting with your mom for a while, um, and then we finally got to meet when you made your way down here. Yeah. Pro- oh, I love it here, but probably not DC right now, right? DC like kind of back to normal when there are also soccer games to attend. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they have been pretty crazy this week. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm trying to the soccer skin, and the concept idea was that we were going to do a spin show for DC United. So we would go live immediately after every game, which we were able to do for the first two shows for the first game, and then a DC United game. It's kind of our rapid reactions. I've got four guys with me, and we just talk about the game. We talk about it's been heartbreak a little bit recently, but after the Miami game, it was a lot of excitement. We go through reactions. We try to have somebody on. We had Devin McTavish and Paul on for those first two games. We had Claudia on after one of the games down in Orlando. So we try to have people on who can talk about the game. But again, we just kind of try to get at that like raw emotion, because we know that there are a bunch of DC United podcasts that people can listen to, and they all kind of bring something different to the table. So that's kind of the difference that we tried to bring is, when you're on your way home from the game, or maybe if it's a really late Sunday night game, you're like still really feeling it Monday morning on your way to work, you can name us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've been so lucky that DC United have support as a brand new podcast. They kind of just took a leap of faith after kind of they've been bringing so many players our way. Some of the backroom staff have had Rory on a couple times, so it's really been amazing to be able to get access to the players and be able to talk to kind of their feelings around the height of the feelings around DC United's going. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I completely agree. I feel like I lost just access to the players. Sounds good. Oh no. Is it on my end, do you think? Is there something I can try to do, or? Oh, it's all good. It happens. It's like, yeah, I feel like I have the same issues.
we're back, hopefully working now, and I think I forgot to unmute myself. So if someone could actually drop a little comment on there, whether you could hear me or not, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm just gonna head into it like I was on mute. So as you can see over here, you've got Sam.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with myself. I've been a DC United fan since 2005, I think it was. So the year after we won the last trophy, I haven't been able to experience that. Just bad timing on my part.
Are you saying it's all your fault that we haven't won an MLS Cup then?
It might be. I've also, in all that time and all the away games I've gone to, I've never seen an away victory.
Okay.
Tie. I've never seen us win on the road. So, yeah, I think it's almost to the point where the rest of the crew is going to ban me from going. We're getting a little close. So, yeah, I grew up in the D. Over so we can get that win when we need it. Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of my history. DC United fan. I met the other three people on the podcast with Joshua Morgan, John Lee, and Michael Black. Kind of met them through it. We've been on road trips together. And in December, I think we were watching some EPL games, and we were like, "Oh, what if we started a podcast? We talk about this anyway. What if we just recorded it?" We wanted to come into the group with something new. There's already a group of pretty cemented DC United podcasts, so we didn't just want to be recreating what someone else did. So we had this idea to do a post-game show. So we would go live after every game and kind of give you those initial rapid reactions, those really emotional things that you're thinking on your way home. And we just figured we'd go live. Sometimes people are driving home alone. They just need someone else to celebrate with or commiserate with. So, that was the concept. We were successfully able to do that twice. DC United's been really great. They gave us some space actually in Audi Field for us to go live, so we could go into the show pretty immediately, and that was really great. And then, a world pandemic happened, which derailed us a little bit. We still decided to do weekly shows where we were talking about, soccer in general. We covered a variety of topics, but now that MLS is starting to get back into having some games. We are trying to get back to that initial core concept, and we were able to go live after all the MLS's back games. We're planning on going live for all these season games that are happening, and we'll just kind of get back
will
to
you
what
be able
our,
to
our
actually do the
regularly
live
scheduled
post-game
programming
shows
was supposed to
from
be.
Audi Field during this pandemic, or have they said a no to that?
Yeah, so we've been working with them. It's a no right now. Obviously, they, are working with the DC government, and they're kind of restricting who is allowed in Audi Field. It's kind of questionable whether or not the games will even be in Audi Field at this point. We've tossed around potentially going out, and if they're at Segura doing it there, but we don't know if there's really a space for us there. So for the meantime, it might just continue to be out of one of our apartments, but as things start opening up, and definitely as fans start coming back, we are definitely looking to get back into Audi Field, into that space.
Fingers crossed that it does happen sooner rather than, but obviously in a safe way. So for those who are watching at the moment or listening afterwards, if you've not listened to the Tried and True podcast, get on it. So either subscribe, or do both, subscribe on YouTube, and subscribe on your podcaster. So you've got the opportunity to do either, because sometimes, if you're like me over here in the UK, it's a little bit late for the post-game show.
You're on a lot of them, though. You're always so impressed.
I mean, the last one, that was just crazy, because I think the kickoff for me was, because it was a 10:30 kickoff in the evening for you guys. So what? So 5 hours after that would be 3:30 in the morning for me, and I was just like, right, okay, I'm going to sleep beforehand, so I got my 6 hours in just, and then I was like, right, okay, I'm just going to get up and be ready for the day. So I just stayed up and obviously tuned in with you guys. We had a nice little bit of banter on the chat.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah, we are on YouTube Live, and then we're also on Periscope, and that's what we love, is when people are chatting with us. Because again, we want those raw emotions. We want to hear kind of what everyone has to say. So we love it when you chime in.
And hopefully, I mean, the games that are coming up, so we need to talk about those, because we've got the Phase 1 is what they've called it. Hopefully I'll get to tune into some of the post-game shows, but depending on what I'm doing the next day, if I'm at work, I might not.
Yeah, they're pretty late.
Yeah, that's going to be... Is it 7 or half 7, the kickoffs? So the first one is against Cincinnati away, and that is at 7:30, so that's going to be 12:30 a.m. over here in the UK. We follow that up with a home game against New England Revolution on the 25th of August. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff Eastern Time, so that's going to be midnight here. So that might not be too bad. And then we've got Philly Union away, and that is on the 29th of August, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we follow that up with a road trip to New Jersey Metro Stars. And that's a 7:30 kickoff Eastern Time. Then we've got 2 home games on the bounce. We've got NYCFC, who don't seem to know how to play in their own stadium right now. Which we've got to talk about that in a second, because that's just disgraceful. Followed up by, again, the Metro Stars again on the 12th of September. So, firstly, we've got Cincinnati. How have they improved so much? Because they've had the worst season ever. And now they've suddenly got to knockouts in the MLS's back tournament. And it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I know. For all of these games, really, for all of MLS, it's hard to make predictions about what you think is going to happen, because there have been no rules since play has resumed. Like none of the traditionally good teams made it super far in the tournament. I mean,
you look at
run. Yeah, it's wild. I don't know what they're doing, but I mean, also I think a lot of DC United fans, we can't take it for granted that Cincinnati is going to be an easy team, because we had that awful game against them last season.
Yeah. Well, we did have a good game against them.
Yeah, I know.
Their ground though, because I think we won 4-1 in that tie.
Yeah.
So it's that was about this time last year. So it's it's a tricky one because obviously we've had a bit of a, to put it nicely, a bit of a shocker at the tournament, and we've got to want to right those wrongs, surely.
Oh, definitely.
I just can't see us not coming out fighting. Let's put it that way.
I think that's kind of the mentality of this team is, and when you talk to the players, we've both been able to do a lot of player interviews. I think that's what their focus is, that they really want to come out fighting. And, even across articles about, what to expect from these teams, everyone always says DC United, like, we still have a strong back line. We still have, a team that's relatively hard to score against. We saw that a little less in the tournament, but those were also like pretty shaky moments for a lot of most of those games. We were also doing pretty well. So I mean, again, it's just hard to make predictions. It's really up in the air. I think we avoided a lot of the harder East Coast teams in this little run. Not to say that they're going to be easy. Obviously, Philly made it pretty far. They've been a team that's been really up and coming for a little while now, so that is not going to be an easy game by any means. But, I mean, New Jersey is traditionally thought of as a really good team in the East, and they didn't make it far in the tournament at all. So
that tournament was just incredibly random, and I think partly down to the fact that there was such a big gap between those initial two games, and then it's that was, to me, that's more like a pre-season tournament where you look at things, the traditional summer tournaments, the International Champions Cup and things like that. Nothing, you can't really take that much from it. And the fact that Orlando were runners up, you can't take much from that, really. Come on.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Can you even consider that form going into these next games, right? Because you're basically starting over again. It's not as big of a gap, but it's still very different. We're playing in markets, so it's going to be a little bit of the familiarity of playing in these stadiums that all these players know so well, but it's also going to be without fans. So there's still going to be a little bit of a learning curve. And who really knows what's going to shape up?
I'm looking forward to it because after watching Bundesliga, EPL, and weirdly, I started watching the J League from Japan. I was desperate for football. It's going to be nice to have MLS back again, but back in the actual stadiums, because that's the one thing I thought was very bizarre. Was the fact that it was at the ESPN Wide World of Sports, where there was no stands. It felt like you were just playing on training pitches. It got to the point, I think there was two games happening at once, and I'm sure it was our game.
Yeah.
And then you had Colorado Rapids playing on the pitch next to it, and you could hear the referee from that game over on ours, and it was just like, this is just too confusing. So it's going to be nice to be back in our own stadium.
I agree, but I think that it's hard to compare kind of when you look at the EPL, everyone was able to just return right back into their stadiums. Bundesliga was able to do the same thing, but I just don't know if that was realistic at that point when MLS is back was, starting. There's some debate about whether or not it's really realistic now. We've seen some of the other sports leagues in America have had trouble returning to markets. So hopefully we're somehow able to swerve that and all the players are able to stay healthy. But
look at the whole tournament. Yes, there was the initial issues at the very beginning with Dallas and Nashville. But got to give credit where credit's due. They kept the cases to a bare minimum in that bubble.
The bubble works, yeah.
So hopefully they'll take some learnings from that and have applied those already, where it's the same day travel, which is going to be tiring on the players. And it's going to the game, but then also coming back after having played a full, real competitive soccer game, then having to sit on a bus after that. Usually they're stretching and in the ice baths, and they have their little cool down routines. But I'm sure like their medical teams and their physio teams are gonna come up with some interesting things for them to do on the bus. I think we'll be seeing some big buses being driven around town. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So speaking of stadiums, I mentioned it briefly whilst we were talking about the fixtures. We've got to talk about New York City FC, haven't we? And the fact that they're not playing in their own stadium again. They're having to play at the Red Bull Arena.
Which is official, right?
Yeah. So I think it's how many? Is it 4 teams in total that are going to be playing there? I think from what I remember seeing, and you've got NYCFC. I think you've got Toronto playing there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've obviously got Red Bulls as well. It's just that I can't remember who the other team is, but
their second team, their USL team plays there.
Yeah, because Loudoun were there last night, weren't they? And they won.
Yeah.
Yes,
they did.
Which is great.
Great to
Speaking of Loudoun, just a quick mention to Two Loud Adams, which is a brand new podcast. They're all about Loudoun, and I just said I'd give them a little shout out on the show. So, hello to the Two Loud Adams.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got, and then when they mentioned about the CONCACAF Champions League having to play at the Red Bull Arena, all I can do is just shake my head and just think it's bad for an NYCFC fan right now. They've got
it is. They're furious.
No stadium of their own, still at the Yankee Stadium, which is what 5 years down the line now. And surely what part of them coming into Major League Soccer must have been they should have had a soccer-specific stadium.
Yeah, that's the standard now.
It's bizarre. So another thing that's new for this season, obviously it's been a season of new things and weird and wonderful things. The playoffs. Last year we had 14 teams qualify, which at that point for me I thought that was far too much. This year, 18 teams.
Yep.
So only 8 teams miss out on the playoffs. So 4 from each conference. And it's the thing I can kind of compare it to is the Scottish Premier League, and as one of the guys who I know, Andy, who plays Football Manager, recently took on playing as Anderlecht. The Belgian league does a similar sort of thing, where they're split off into another league, and you must think if you're in that bottom 4, that must be the equivalent of being relegated.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Leeds fan, you're going to know what that means next season.
Hey, that's so rude.
I had to throw that one in there.
We're staying up.
But yeah, your thoughts on having 18 teams in the playoffs?
I don't really understand what the thought process is behind it. I understand having, slower games, more spread out. You're getting these athletes back up to game speed. I kind of understand that. It made a little bit of sense in the MLS's back tournament, just the way they kind of had the bracket layout. But I don't understand why you would change the postseason, because there's no real reason to. Like, you just, I guess, want more games. I guess because they're, single. I don't know.
It's just, so we've got only a total of 23 games in the regular season, so that's quite a massive decrease compared to the normal season, which at the moment is only 34 games. So are they trying to make up for that? And how is it going to work with 9 teams from each league, each conference?
Well, I think they're going to have, because there are 14 teams in the East and then 12 in the West, because they moved Nashville back over.
Did they? Oh geez.
Yeah. So then there are going to be more teams from the East qualifying, which, again, it's like, why do you have to make it the most complicated situation? Because it's hard enough for, hardcore MLS fans to follow. So if you're trying to bring the casual fan in and they're like, oh, I live in Nashville, what does that mean for me? No one really knows. So you're not helping yourself broaden your fan base at all. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty uneven playoff, which, I mean, that part will be very interesting, because traditionally the West is pretty dominant in this league. They always really have the powerhouse teams, so it'll be interesting to see first of all, how they kind of match up. Obviously, Eastern teams are going to have to play each other, but does that mean that you potentially have a final with two East Coast teams? What does that mean, right? I mean, the possibility is there.
I certainly wouldn't put it past it. It's Major League Soccer likes to make it bizarre.
Yeah.
They have some, coming from an outsider, some bizarre rules, some weird rules. And I'm not even going to get into the salary cap and the salary regulations and things like that, because that's another show entirely. But so going back to our next game against Cincinnati, I was reading up online. Kendall Waston has come out and said that they're eager to get these 3 points against us. Honestly, can you even make a prediction?
No. I think it'll be interesting. I think that we're probably, at least from the DC United side, I think we're going to see a very similar lineup and game plan to what we saw in the MLS's back tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of sit-back defending. I know that there were a lot of shouts, both from fans and media, that Higuain, people wanted to see so much more of Higuain. So he's gotten a lot of time to get match fit, because that's kind of what Ben was saying in those post games, was that, you know, he wasn't quite there yet, and Ben was just using everyone to what their capacity was. So now that he's had more time to train, hopefully he's getting there, because he brought such a spark and such a creativity and a life. And as did, you know, Kevin Paredes. They both came on, and like the whole field kind of lit up a little bit, because they really came on like they had something to prove.
Did. Kevin was fantastic, I thought. And I've said it to him, and I've said it on a previous episode. I had people messaging me who were fans of other teams saying how good he was. And that's fantastic to hear, that there's someone from our team, a young starlet, being talked about already, and he's made three appearances in the end, and played in each of the group games?
Yeah.
So it'd be good to see him getting his first start, and
I think
we need Higuain playing every single game, because he seems to like to score goals.
Yeah, I mean, we also need who we thought were going to be our big name players to step up. Like, Russell did not have a very good tournament. Obviously, Junior Moreno was, you know, sent off in that first game, but that was a really rough 40 minutes that he ended up playing, 35 minutes he ended up playing. He didn't look good, you know, in that time. So I think we need to see our big name players also stepping up. I don't know why some of their games were off. You know, obviously being down in Orlando, being away from their family, you know, I'm sure it was hard. It was hard on everybody who was in the tournament. So hopefully, you know, coming back and getting a little bit more to what the routine of being a professional soccer player is, they're going to be able to get back in there, and we really the whole team comes back out with the fire and the desire to win.
If you're watching and you've got any comments about what we're talking about, feel free to hit them up in the chat. I'll go through them. There's been comments about our little technical issues. I mean, Andy, thanks for saying I was moving even slower than usual. Cheers for that. You idiot. Sound is good though, which is always nice to hear. Pun intended. Yep. So, right, what was I going to mention about next? So, going forward, there's been a couple of transfer rumours recently. And it looks like we're about to complete a trade at imminent for Axel Sjoberg from Columbus Crew, and going in the opposite direction is Emmanuel Boateng. Defender for a winger. I know I've spoken about it, and I think you guys have spoken about it on your show. We need to bolster that back line, don't we?
We do, but we also need to bolster our front line. So, you know, there are pros and cons to this trade. Obviously, you know, Fred and Steven, they're a great pairing. But I think that when, you know, Briant came into the team, everyone was like, he's not getting any younger, and that was several seasons ago. So I think that he is kind of nearing his expiration date. He's still, you know, tearing it up on the field. Yeah. Last season, he was basically the MVP of the team. So I'm not counting him out right now by any means. I'm just saying that we do need some backups in that back line. I'd love to see Donovan Pines in, but he is pretty injury prone as well. So, he needs to get on a pretty good run of not being injured before I feel really confident that he is a solid backup for us. But again, at the same time, I think there were a lot of questions about why Boateng didn't play, because I don't think he was injured.
I think he did pick up an injury, which is why he didn't play in all the games. But just going back to Brion, he's our top scorer.
He is, yeah.
That's not a good thing.
It's not.
When you look at it, the way I'm looking at it is the fact that we're trading Boateng means that Ben's going to have a bit more faith in the likes of Kevin.
That's a solid way to look at it. I like that.
Look at Boateng. He only made three appearances last season, so he was only a bit part player at best.
I think that wanted to see more of him though, so it's interesting to. There's obviously something else going on either in the locker room or on the training ground that he's really just not gelling with what Ben wants to see, because he could be such a solid offensive option, and that's really what we need on this team. So obviously he's just not bringing it in the way that the coaching staff wants to see. I think someone else you had listed, though, Charlie Kelman, is potentially an offensive option that we're going to be bringing in.
An interesting one to look at, because I shared his debut goal and with a couple of mates of mine, just it was just so random and so left field, this rumour coming out, because he currently plays for Southend United in League One over here in England, so the level's not that high, but on his debut he scored from his own half.
I read about that.
I was like, okay,
that's what we need.
if you could do that on a regular basis, I will take it. But for a forward, he scored 7 goals in 19 appearances last season in all competitions, which isn't too bad of a return rate, but that's in League One, remember.
Yeah. He also scored, though, didn't I see he's had just a few U.S. youth team appearances. And I think he scored against Kansas City, right, in the scrimmage. I think I was reading that was his youth goal, was against Kansas City, so he does have that experience scoring against MLS teams. Thank you, Wikipedia. So, maybe bring him in. Again, it sounds like he's really a kid that's going to have something to prove. He's, I think, 18, right? So maybe he can come in and really shake things up with Kevin, and we'll see, hopefully, Griffin on the field a little more.
Absolutely. I like the fact that we're going after youth in the attacking line, and we've gone for some experience in the back line, because I think that's the kind of balance that we need right now. So, and John has just come back with a couple of comments for you, Sam. Did you just reference Fred's expiration date? Great comment. And he also agrees we need more minutes for Donovan.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him consistently healthy. I think we had it. We saw him kind of on that rise, and then he got injured.
He should have had that goal against Minnesota.
Heartbreaking. We actually talked to him on our last show. We talked to him a little bit about that goal. And it was just great to hear him describe it. I specifically remember the goal because he ran over to the coaching staff to celebrate. I always thought that was the sweetest thing. And then he shared on the show that he had told one of the coaches, that he would do that. Somebody said, I really think you're going to score today. And he was like, yeah, okay, if I do, I'll come celebrate with you. And then he did. In all of our hearts, I think that goal stands. It was kind of a nonsense goal, a reason that they called it back.
That went to VAR as well, didn't it? If I remember rightly.
It did, yeah. And it was like, I think it was a foul on Fred or something like that. It wasn't anything that Donovan had even done. It was a foul, I want to say it was on Brion that took the goal back. So
it's just, yeah, I do agree. Donovan does need more minutes, because to prove his fitness, he needs those minutes. So
exactly, yeah.
If we're about to bring in this centre back in, would it be worth for Donovan to get some minutes with Loudon?
Yeah, I think it's always worth getting minutes with Loudon. They obviously got that win yesterday, as we mentioned, but that's always just good experience for them. We're seeing that's where a lot of our young kids are coming through, and Donovan has spent a lot of time there. So if he does kind of drop back down and then kind of float in between, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think I'd rather see these players play than sit on the bench. If they're sitting on the bench for a couple games in anticipation of playing this season, then I'd love to see that. But if they're just kind of sitting on the bench and they're probably not going to play this season, I'd rather see them get those minutes.
There was one other sort of little transfer rumor that came out, which came out from Goff over on Twitter. Apparently, we've been linked with a defender from the English Championship, and another attacker is on the radar. So whether that is Charlie Kelman, which just for you viewers out there who haven't seen this rumour, is going to sign for Swansea City and then be loaned out to us. And obviously Swansea City are owned by Jason and the board who own us as well. So making use of the affiliation there, which I think I'm surprised we've not tapped into a bit more often.
Yeah, I think everyone was really excited when that first came out, and they really wanted to see a lot more kind of players moving back and forth. We haven't seen it, but if this is the start, if we're going to bring a young attacking player, then I'm not mad about it.
The only downside to me with these things is they're normally just loans, so you only normally get them for a season, and if they do really well, you lose them. Yeah.
Take it back, yeah.
In other news, today, St. Louis City SC, who are the 1055th team in MLS, revealed their name, which is St. Louis City SC, and their crest as well, and the team colours. Have you seen that, Sam?
I haven't, no. What are the colors?
Pink and blue.
Okay.
Let me just... I've got to get the description up, because they described... I don't know what it is about Major League Soccer teams, but they always talk about the reasons behind the badge and the design of the badge, which is kind of nice to see. I'm going to see if I can get it up on...
It's interesting, but I think a lot of fans kind of tease fun at it because some of the reasons seem a little bit silly sometimes. So a lot of kind of lower teams have come out with spoof reasons for their badges. We put it in a circle because that was the shape that looked best or whatever. There have been some funny jokes and memes to come out of it.
Right, so bear with me, folks, whilst I just get it up on here. Oh, it's not even on the MLS app. Well, that's not good. I'm sure I saw it on there earlier. But yeah, it's the crest itself, so the badge has got two rivers in there, which are just lines. The Gateway Arch, St. Louis, and then City in big letters, and then SC on there, which they have said there's two meanings for SC. Soccer club and soccer capital.
Okay.
Which is a bit strange.
I mean, there are a lot of, I think, a lot more national team players and a lot more kind of players who are playing throughout the world who have come from there than I think people realize. So I see it a little bit. That's also a little contentious that they're claiming that. I think other cities are definitely going to have something to say about it.
I would have thought SC would have been, instead of Soccer City. That would have...
Yeah. Makes a little bit more sense. A little less ostentatious.
So I've got the badge. So I'm just going to show it up onto the camera. That's it.
Okay. That's interesting. It's simple. I like it. It's not doing too much.
It's
You're like, it's not doing too much.
That's my problem with it, because you look at the history of MLS and the teams and the team names. There have been some wild team names like San Jose Clash or Tampa Bay Mutiny. And then you look at the badges and the kits and things like that, and the creativity was amazing. When I looked at the creation of the badge and what they described it as, that badge took 20 people to design.
That's a little much.
I mean, not to bash on them or anything like that.
I mean, it could have been worse. I'm not mad at it.
You're right. I'm not mad at it, but
yeah,
I don't love it.
yeah, which is fair. I think the name is something else entirely in it.
Yeah, I was expecting something a bit more than just St. Louis City SC. I think it's.
Well, I think Charlotte the same thing. Atlanta too. Like Atlanta, I feel like was the first one that they were like asking fans to submit names, and there was options out there. And then they went with United, which is a little bit of a shame. Yeah, I think you're right. We have such a history of crazy soccer names, and now these new clubs that are coming in are just City FC, City SC. So it's sad to see.
I think we need to see something. One team that I have liked who are going to be new for next season, Austin. I know it's a boring name, Austin FC, but I like the badge. It's a bit different, and I like the team colours of black and green. And they've got Matthew McConaughey as well.
They also tried to steal Columbus, though, so it'll be interesting to see them come in, and if that's going to be a rivalry right off the bat. I wonder if MLS is really going to play that up, or if they're just going to kind of hush it up because everyone was so mad about that to begin with.
That's going to be an awesome rivalry week, that one.
Especially because you already have Houston, Dallas, who are obviously the two Texas teams. Obviously, they're going to try to create a little triangle there with Austin, as probably they should because they're all in the same state. But that just gives Austin something like unique for the start of their year. And it makes a little bit more sense than some of these crazy rivalries that MLS tries to come up with.
The one that they tried to force on us with DC and Philly. Yeah.
Yep. Everyone's like, we're not mad at you guys.
You're okay, Philly. We're mad at these fake Metro Star people.
This New Jersey team over here.
The New York wannabes. They can't even play.
Exactly. They don't.
What is that about?
It's a New Jersey team.
Well, I know. Right. Big news as well from another team. But big news for the league as well. Inter Miami have finally signed a big player. Blaise Matuidi is signed, but not on a DP contract. They've decided to probably, and I imagine, throw all their TAM at him.
Yeah.
And to buy down that contract so they can have another DP, which is going to be interesting to see who they bring in. But what do you make of that sign of the one for them, 2 for the league, and then 3 whenever we actually get to play them again? How that's going to differ in the terms of the tactics and how we approach that game.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, it's basically a year too late, right? In the fans' eyes, I think Miami came in saying that they were going to sign all these big names. They were going to be the star-studded team, that's traditionally thought of as being LA Galaxy and now LA FC a little bit. So I think Miami came in saying they were going to do all these things, and then they didn't. I think Nashville made some of the more interesting signings over Miami. So, the fact that they didn't just give him that DP contract kind of makes it seem like they have something else up their sleeve, but we haven't seen them have anything up their sleeve recently. So I don't really know. It's 2020. I don't know what to make of what's happening in MLS. The shock.
They've been the surprise of the season, even though we've only had 5 games. The fact that they've yet to win one.
Yeah.
It's not looking good for them so far, and they've got this big name coach. They've got Pizarro. They've now signed Matuidi. They've advertised themselves as this kind of South American style football, but when you look at them on the pitch and you look at their jerseys, which are satin pink, it's all been a bit disappointing for them.
Yeah, which is interesting to me that now there's another team with pink in the league, because everyone wanted Miami to come out in these hot pink jerseys and they didn't. So they potentially lost that opportunity. But, I mean, who even knows when the next time we're going to play them is? Hopefully they will have made that other big signing, and will have made a couple signings, in that time. So I can't even begin to think about what the tactics of that would be, because I hope that at least DC United is a very different team, at least in form. I mean, they've been our only win so far, but I hope that we are kind of on the up. But I mean, maybe we'll see them in postseason. Maybe it'll have to wait till next season. But there's kind of so much time either way.
Absolutely, I want to ask about predictions, but it's not worth it, is it? It's really not worth it because it's one, we don't know what the phase 2 of this return to MLS is going to be. We've only got this next 6 games. Hopefully we'll come out with 6 wins. That would be amazing, but we've got to be realistic. The way our form is and the way other teams are playing at the moment, they're playing a bit better than us. I think we should get 2 wins against Red Bulls because they've been really, really bad so far. That's it.
Yeah.
NYCFC have not performed well either. They were lucky to qualify out of the group stages.
Yeah.
And then Philly Union, I think it's going to be the one we might, I think last season we got a bit torn apart by them, and I think that might happen again.
I mean, they also had a really good run in this tournament. Is that going to transfer back? We'll see. But I think Philly is definitely the hardest team. My hope for DC United is that we look at this as a really fresh slate, right? We don't have to worry about these crazy tournament rules. Yes, those games all mattered, but I hope that we just put them all behind us and we say, this is it now. We get to come back home. We get to come back to these stadiums we know, and we're really just going to get our minds right and really be a power team because we can. We've, for the past several years, have had so many really good names. We've always had a good team. For whatever reason, we just don't see it translated into that offensive power that we think that it could be. Obviously this year, Paul going down really hurt that. That was really unfortunate, but he's back running and training. I think I might have seen him with the soccer ball. He's at least doing a lot of really heavy motion workouts, which is great.
There was actually an Insta story. I think it was either today or it might have been yesterday. He was kicking soccer balls.
Yeah, so I think we'll see.
I'd love to see him make a return this season. I just don't want him to return too early and then just kill his career, because that kind of injury can properly ruin your career if you don't look after it in the right manner. So,
definitely.
Fingers crossed he makes a return.
Yeah.
But again, only if he's fully fit.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I'd just love to see us come out to give these young kids a try and to just see what type of creativity they can bring into that offensive, and then, again, just shoring up that defensive line, because I enjoy that we're a team that doesn't get scored on a whole lot, right? But I'd also love to see us put at least a few in the back of the net.
And I think that's it for news-wise. Let me just double-check, just to make sure. Yeah, that's it for news-wise. So, that's it for the episode, really. Great to see some chat happening over on YouTube there. That's been great. Josh Morgan makes a late comment saying that he's worried about players going in between squads during COVID. That's a fair comment.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
yeah. I think, again, from what I've seen about this trade that we're going to be doing with Columbus, is the fact that he's not going to be able to play in the next game against Cincy, because I think he's going to be gone into quarantine, and then he'll be available for the game against New England Revs.
I mean, will he be? He wouldn't have trained with us, though, right? So we can't see him
even
a little bit
might
late.
Be too soon for him.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, really. The trade's still got to go through, so,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
That's a fair point. That also makes me think about, we had chatted about Donovan Pines potentially going back down to Loudoun, but I think that the Loudoun DC United little pipeline that they have is probably also stalled right now. They mentioned it in the Loudoun game yesterday that a lot of the big name Loudoun players are with DC United right now, and I think that's probably where they're going to stay for the rest of this season.
Yeah, because normally you'd have Moses, you'd have Kevin, Griffin would probably be in the Loudoun squad as well. So,
and they can usually float back and forth. They can play some Loudoun games. They can come up and sub for DC United, maybe get some minutes, but we're probably not going to see that this season.
fingers crossed we'll get back to some normality at some point. But
Yep. Yes.
we'll see what happens. So, yeah, let's wrap it up. So thank you for coming on, Sam. I know I only asked you, was it yesterday I asked? Or was it today?
So I think it was yesterday.
I'm losing track of time. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for coming. Oh. Just before we wrap up, John sneaks in with a comment.
Okay.
Ben needs to.
Just have your
I know.
podcast.
This is the problem doing live. Benny needs to implement a system and stick with it for the remainder of the season, and the system can't be Benny Ball.
Good luck telling Ben that.
Yep. I mean, we've got a good roster. I want to say that the roster's good enough to be able to do something, because you've got Bill in goal. You've got Fisher and Chris at right back, haven't you? You've then got Brion, Birnbaum, Pines, and potentially Axel Sjoberg. Then you got Mora and who else plays at left back? I think that's probably the one place we need to get cover at then.
Yeah.
Then you got Moreno, you got Knaus, you've got Felipe, Assad, Segura, Sorga, Higuain, Kevin, Moses, Griffin.
Nice, yeah.
So there's plenty of good players in there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is a new system, whether it is confidence, whether it's the fact that Ben needs to maybe use a few more substitutions earlier in the games.
Which he's been doing a little bit more of. I was getting ready to say, Ben coaches the type of style that he played, and he's been doing it for years and years. So he's not one to, even in the middle of a game, he's not one to really make adjustments. He just kind of trusts his players to grind it out, which is the type of player he was. But he has been making some substitutions earlier, so maybe we're seeing a trend in the right direction.
Yeah,
we'll
and the fact that
see.
we've got the ability to use 5 subs now. So
Yeah.
Granted, you can only have 3 stoppages though. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think was it the game against Montreal where he brought Gressel off after 50 minutes, which I thought was a bit strange because it was only 5 minutes after half time. But that just shows the fact that he's willing to actually make that change out quickly.
Yeah, which is good.
And it's nice to see that. So cool. If there's going to be no more comments now, please. Don't normally say that, but please, no more comments now. So let's wrap it up. So again, yes, Sam, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you on, representing Tried and True. Can you let the viewers, as well as the listeners, know where they can find you and your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I was so excited to come on and chat with you about soccer. It's been too long since we've been able to see each other, so I appreciate it. Personally, you can find me at SammyKaz93. That's SammyKas93 on Twitter and Instagram. And then you can find my podcast, Tried and True, that I do with 3 other guys here in DC. You can find Tried and True DCU on basically Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can look for us on all your podcatchers.